When you clicked on this video, you probably thought, what the fuck is this? But as the title says, this is a guide to completely unfucking your life. To go from 0 to 100. It is a complete and full guide, and if you watch all of this, you will be equipped with all of the knowledge that I wished I had at 15 years old. Everything I say in this video is the reason why I wake up at 5 AM every day, stick to my routine, do well in school, feel happy, feel fulfilled. And it's the reason why I've gone consistently to the gym for over 1 year. I uploaded YouTube videos daily for 3 months. I meditated 100 days in a row without failing one day. Trust me when I say that this guide will take you from not even wanting to wash your plate after eating food, to literally having no problem with waking up at 5 AM knowing that you have 3 hours of work ahead of you and a full routine daily. I think you get it at this point. This guide will unfuck your life and change it completely. And there will be some overlaps in the guide, where I mention some of the same concepts. But still, it's very good that you watch all of this in order, because I've put it up so that you get each thing in every order you need, so you can start taking action afterwards. But enough talking, let me first give you the reality of being on this journey, so you can even see if this is actually something for you.
Yo, around 2022 was when I discovered self-improvement. I was your average kid. My daily routine consisted of waking up at 7 AM for school, watching YouTube all morning, and yes, when I say all morning, I mean even when I brushed my teeth. Then I would go to school, and when I came home, I was ready to indulge even more. I played video game for maybe 3 or 4 hours, then scrolled a bit to relax, maybe jerk the chicken. I even watched TikTok whilst doing my homework, and this would just continue until I went to bed. I felt like I wasn't living. I saw people online making money, living their life. I saw my classmates being social, going out drinking, and there I was doing nothing. I wasted my time only to feel empty afterwards. That was when my best friend showed me Hamza, the aggressive guy sitting in his room with a bathrobe telling you to meditate. At first I looked at my friend a bit weird, like what the fuck is this, but wasn't 100% put off, so I just watched him for a bit. It wasn't long until both of us were on this new path, and we actually started waking up in good time, meditating, journaling and setting goals, being in nature and working out. It felt really good, and I even started to read again. Like finally I didn't feel complacent, and I was not just wasting time all day. But the excitement didn't last too long, because soon it wasn't just happy days anymore, and that is when I upload this video. Now you might think I'll be like, yeah, I was a Sigma lone wolf because they were all betas, but that's not the case here, because as most self-improvement YouTubers say, you start to find it hard to relate to your friends. But that is not what I will tell you now. When I started self-improvement, what slowly happened was that my friends didn't relate to me, not the other way around. In my class, there was this big group of people that I used to talk to a lot, but after a couple months of doing self-improvement, they started to not really care about me. I would have to be the person coming up to them, and whenever they talked to me, they just seemed like they couldn't really be asked talking to me. And although I always had my best friend, we didn't go in the same class, so I literally felt like the picture in the thumbnail of this video that you're watching, like being a guy that nobody sees or cares about just because you stick out. And so back when I uploaded that video in 2023, you can literally hear the school children in the background. I went away from the school down into a forest at a table in my lunch break. We have like 45 minutes of lunch break, and I went down just to record that video. And I'll flash forward to 2025. I've actually found some more friends, like both some that are on the same path, and I've just also gotten better social skills, so I can also talk to people who are not on the same path, although it is, it doesn't really benefit me that much. But I need to tell you something, and I don't want this to seem like a warning, but I genuinely think you should consider this. Because if you're a guy considering to start self-improvement, I would say to you that you should sit down with a notebook and write down this question at the top of the paper. Why do I want to start this? And then just write everything that comes to mind, because if your why isn't that strong, you'll just quit. And that was what happened for me. I had not really thought about it. A friend had just shown me this and I was starting. And so every time I was in a rut, every time I felt bad, I was about to quit, because I didn't have like written down like exactly what it was that I wanted to do and why. Because this journey is not the easy choice. You will be lonely. and it will be hard to be disciplined. I was about to quit many times, as I said, because I just didn't have a reason to do it. And again, this is not to discourage you, because the grass is indeed greener on the other side. Because right now, I'm actually making progress. My channel is growing, I have friends, I live a blissful life, I'm a lifelong student, I'm reading, I'm mindful, I'm working out, everything good. I'm so, like, it's so nice. I can't even tell you how nice it is. But the reality of being a teen on self-improvement is that you're taking the path that is least taken. Maybe your parents can't even relate to you, because most likely they're also taking the path that most people take. I really advise you, get a strong why and you'll never quit. Because the reality of being a teen on self-improvement is that it will be hard, and so it isn't for everyone. That's why most people don't do it. So are you just gonna stay average or take action?
Okay, so now you've heard the reality of being on this path, and you've decided that this is something for you. And before we can start with setting any goals, we need to do this very important thing first. And that is simply to identify, who do you want to become? Who is the man that you intend to become by unfucking your life? You wouldn't be watching this course and trying to unfuck your life if there was no reason for it. And so with figuring out who you want to become, I want you to be very detailed, specific, and almost autistic with your details. So grab your notebook right now, and at the top of the paper you write, who do I want to become? And don't just write some stupid shit like, oh yeah, I want to be a disciplined entrepreneur and make 10k a month. Because everybody can say that. And it's probably not even your dream. Probably something that these influencers think that, they brainwashed you so hard with the 10k a month thing. That is the only thing you can think about nowadays. You should write this very detailed. Write with your emotions. Get angry, sad, happy, motivated, disgusted, whilst writing down on this paper who you want to become. If you're not clear on who you're trying to become, then you're not going to want it as much. Then you're not going to know every day what you're even striving for. This path will feel like you're going nowhere because you don't know where your end result is. So write down what his life is like, his routine, his habits, what goals he has achieved, what goals he intends to achieve. Does he want to have kids? What is his values? What does he think about relationships? Which relationships does he have? Every single thing that you can get to know about this guy, who is future you, I want you to write it down on that paper. And so the more detailed and the more you can get to know this guy, the easier it will be to start imitating him, and especially to start setting goals to become this guy, which is what I'm going to take you through in the next modules. I am both an advocate for long and short-term goals. And so first we need to have a long-term goal, because although they won't motivate you in like the complete short term, they will be your long-term purpose, your direction, the direction that you've set sail in. So think about the guy you want to become, and then think about, what could a goal be that would take you closer to becoming like him? So let's say that your dream self is like a jacked guy. He's really trained, he looks good without his shirt on, right? You could have a goal that would be like, put on 10 kilograms of muscle this year. So basically take just one thing that this guy has or does that you can set a long-term goal on. It could also be how much money he is making. Then you say, okay, I'm gonna make this much money this year. And it doesn't have to be like the final end goal. Like, let's say you want to make $1 billion, right? You're obviously not gonna write like, for this year I want to make $1 billion. You're gonna make it way smaller. So make a yearly goal which is gonna help you achieve the guy you want to become. So in the next module I will talk about making short-term goals. And so when I talk about these short-term goals, I'm basically saying, take the yearly goal that you've just found out and wrote down on paper. And this is very important. Once you've written down that goal that you just found out, you hang it on your wall. And then for these next modules, when I talk about short-term goals, that is the longer goal that you just found out, that's the one that you cut down. I wanted to quickly share with you this goal achieving system that's honestly so effective that I feel weird sharing it online.
I learned this 3-step system earlier this year, and since then I've become a bit of a goal hitting machine. If you're trying to hit your goals right now, but you're really struggling, chances are you're just not aware of this system, and I can almost guarantee you're doing one specific thing every day that is stopping you from achieving any even tiny goals. Let's walk this 3-step system. You're told by everyone on YouTube that you need to set long-term goals. Hamster tells you to set yearly goals or even 3-year goals, and that the short-term goals, they don't really matter too much. Just focus on the long-term goals, and then also remember to really stare at them every day. Now I followed this advice for a very long time. I set yearly goals, stared at them every day, but it didn't help. I didn't get any drive or motivation from my goals because they were so far away. It would take me a year to get to the end result, and that can't motivate you on a daily basis because it feels like you're making no progress towards such a huge goal. All the motivation and drive I was supposed to get was not there. It was only until recently when I found this goal hitting system that I want to share with you. So this system goes against most of the advice that you've heard about goal setting from like big YouTubers, but it really fucking works. So the step 1, set short trackable goals. So instead of setting long-term goals, we set short-term goals that are trackable. This really helps because you can see like the end goal within your sight, it's within reach. So for example, for me, I have 420 something subscribers and my goal is to hit 500 subs. So I just set up this short-term goal, but I don't just only write the goal, which is step 2, track the goal. I clearly remember when I was playing Fortnite when I was younger. It was one of my favorite games and I was so addicted. In Fortnite there was these like levels and you would have to like complete quests to gain XP and then you would slowly level up. In game you could see a progress bar that showed how close you were to leveling up. And we can literally do the same thing in real life. So on the paper that you've written your goal down on, make like some boxes. So for me with the 500 sub goal, I've made a box for every 10 subscribers until 500 subs. Now you have these like kind of small stepping stones on the way to your goal. And since the goal is fairly short term, you'll get the same feeling about achieving goals as you would get in a video game while leveling up. And so these boxes, they act as like that kind of progress bar that I had in Fortnite. Step 3, write 2 to 3 most essential tasks to achieve that goal. If you haven't heard about the 80 to 20 rule, it's basically that 20% of your actions will get you 80% of the progress. For me with YouTube, it would be 1, post videos, 2, record, 3, get ideas. So now on the bottom of the paper, write down the 2 to 3 most important actions that will make you the most progress towards that goal. And I'll stick that piece of paper you've made with the boxes and the end goal and also the text with the 3 most important things you need to do to achieve that goal right on a wall in front of you. I hang my YouTube goal up on my wall like right in front of me when I do my deep work because I know I can always see the progress bar and I am always aware of what tasks that are essential and which task I need to do. Since I've started implementing this system, I've basically gotten addicted to achieving goals. It's basically the same as in Fortnite when I was addicted to just logging on every single day, playing the game, hoping to level up. Now it's the same in real life, but just with my goals. It also feels even more fun because I can see kind of like the progress bar, just like XP in video games. I can see like me, when I've crossed off like 1 tick for like 430 subs, I can see it going up until 500 subs. So let's summarize. Step 1. Set a trackable short-term goal. For example, it could be X amount of subs. Then write your goal down on a piece of paper. Put some boxes on that piece of paper and they will act as a progress bar or kind of like stepping stones towards your end goal. This way it makes achieving your goals like playing a video game addictive and fun. And the last thing you need to do is write the 2 to 3 most essential tasks that will get you to your goal. And now you're ready to go and achieve your goals while it's still enjoyable and fun. You're sitting in your room, you have a nice physique, flawless mental health, and you've even found some meaningful work and achieved many goals, but still you feel horrid. You feel no motivation. Success doesn't even feel that good, and suddenly you have no direction and feel like life isn't even worth living. Well, you're quite lucky because you just found this video. I have some good and bad news for you. Now, the good news is that I found a way to bring back the drive and happiness that you once felt and actually make success feel worth it by just understanding 3 things. But the bad news is that most likely you're gonna have to leave your old mindset and way of thinking behind. So step 1, changing hurts. I recently read a book called The Mountain Is You, and that was when I realized why I often feel empty after achieving a goal. as humans, we hate change. When something new happens, that means we have to adapt. And in reality, your brain can't even tell the difference between good and bad change. So even when I had just gotten less addicted to my phone and achieved more subscribers, my brain plagued me and told me to go back to scrolling. My brain literally sabotaged my success. And the reason why my brain couldn't adapt to the positive change was because I didn't see myself worthy. Although I wanted success, I had not updated my self-image as a guy who was like successful and could achieve stuff. And deep down I still saw myself as the guy who was lazy, unproductive. And so the way that I actually updated my self-image was with visualization and journaling. And oh my god, this is gonna sound so crazy. Literally speaking to myself. And every day I imagine how it will feel to once achieve the goal. Which feelings will I be experiencing? What will I do? What will happen? When will it happen? By doing this, I pretty much get used to the feeling of achieving that goal and becoming successful. Secondly, I journal. And I journal about who I'm trying to become, because I know my future self better and better. And that is when the crazy stuff can happen. This is where I literally speak to myself. When I know myself so well, I can speak to my future self, right? And I will speak to him like as I'm literally talking to him. And slowly I adapt his way of speaking, being, everything he does, his habits, everything. And after I did these 3 things, I actually got used to how it feels to achieve that next goal. And so my brain was like desensitized to it. Step 2, the top of the mountain. Last time I went on holiday, we went hiking in a mountain. Now, it wasn't any crazy shit, but you know, it's still challenging. And all the way up the mountain, it felt great. It felt like we were getting closer and closer to celebrating and enjoying the view. And it was just like a nice challenge. But then once we got to the top of the mountain, the enjoyment lasted like a maximum of 10 minutes. That is like, it sounds crazy, but as humans, we just always want more. Like there is not a point where we stop and say that is the end goal. And so that is why every time you reach a goal, it feels like when I reached that mountaintop. We feel a slight depression because suddenly there is nowhere new to go, there's nothing to strive for. Is chasing a new goal and wanting the high of success even the right way to go about purpose, happiness and fulfillment? Well, that is step 3, the road over destination. What I've come to realize is that maybe it isn't about achieving the goal that would make us happy. When I think about it, feeling the bliss and fulfillment of knowing that I've had a productive day is way nicer than celebrating an achieved goal. Because again, as humans, we very quickly become used to something. When you get something as a present for Christmas, you're so hyped, but a week later it's just a new norm. And so having achieved your goals just becomes a new norm. So maybe the reason why success doesn't feel as good as we think is because it's not even about the end result. It's about the journey. It's about enjoying every day and going to bed feeling fulfilled. And there is this one quote which I love. The man who loves to walk will walk longer than the man who loves the destination. And the reason why I love it is because over the years, I've come to find it more and more true. It's not about achieving a goal and then just chilling and not really doing anything. It's about finding what you love and then grinding that thing. I think the reason why success doesn't feel as good as we think is because the journey is more fulfilling and brings more joy than the success we get at the end of the road. So just now I'm realizing I forgot one thing for the goal setting part of this course or guide, and I think that it's very important, and this is something I've started doing this past few months, is to set weekly goals. Like you can literally see I have those here, 3, like every week I think you should set 3 goals, and they should be like obviously not how much money you're gonna make. It's gonna be more like how many videos am I gonna make. Let's say it was for me, right, with YouTube, or how many times am I gonna go to the gym, or am I gonna make this school assignment, right? So I think that is very important because it leads you like in a direction each week, so you feel motivated even more. So yeah, that's one thing I would do, is write down 3 goals every week and then just hang it on the wall with a checkbox next to them. So yeah, that's just another bonus. And so now you know pretty much everything about setting goals. And so now I'm going to talk about your life setup. You can't achieve everything at once. So in this part with the life setup, I'm going to tell you exactly how to narrow down on one thing in your life. Maybe a few things. And maybe you can't stick to one thing, but at least a very few things, and just go all in on them with your brain power, with your actions. That's going to be the next part of this course. When I first started self-improvement, I would try every method I learned about, every habit. I would try to implement it and just do everything I saw online.
one day I was focusing on fitness, and the next day would be mental health, and then I was focusing on the channel, and I just went in all these different directions at the same time. But because I didn't commit to just one or few things, I never actually made any progress, and any of the many goals that I had set myself, they didn't get achieved. Because when you're going in 10 different directions, you're not really going in any direction. You're trying to do everything at once, but that's just not how it works. If you don't already know me, my name's Laureus, and I hope young men fast track their self-improvement success. You're clearly interested in that, so just go down and click that subscribe button right now. I continued to do this for way too long. It was only 6 months ago that I learned about a concept called essentialism. Essentialism is the idea that by focusing on fewer things, you get more done and see better results. The way that I used this was that I would decrease my list of goals. Before, I would have like 5 or 6 goals at the same time. See, I was going in 5-6 directions, and then I decreased it to just 2 goals that I would have on my list. And it's actually even better if you have just one goal, but I just haven't been able to make that happen. But if you can just make one goal, then that's the best. But 2 goals is what I've had to do, and by only focusing on these 2 things, I get way more done and I progress way faster towards those goals. So now, instead of having 5 goals to think about, I just focus on these 2. I put all of my time and effort into them, and the one goal is in fitness and the other goal is in this channel and growing and helping people, right? So the one goal right here, I'm doing the work right now, I'm waking up early for that. And the fitness, I just eat right and train hard. So you see, I only have 2 things to focus about, and I can just channel all of my energy and all my brain power towards those things. And therefore, when there's only 2 things to focus on, and I don't have to think about doing all of these things at the same time, I actually get more progress in these goals because I have more time and more energy and more focus to put towards them. And that's why, even though you might only achieve fewer goals, right, you will actually achieve them, because before I was always so sad and disappointed that I never achieved any of the goals that I had set. But now I can actually see that I'm making steady and faster progress, because I'm actually using only my time on those 2 things that I've set myself out to do. And the one thing is to build my physique, get more muscle and lose fat. And the other one is to, of course, grow this channel to 5,000 subscribers this year. And you might say that's a crazy goal because there's only 5 or 6 months left. But I can see that the progress is slowly starting to pick up because I'm putting in the work every single day. You can see for the past couple of months I've been uploading every single day. And that's because I don't have 5 priorities. I wouldn't have been able to do all of this work if I had 10 other priorities. It's because I've decided that I want to focus on just doing this that I've been able to get so far so quickly. I mean, it's not like a crazy example that I've gotten to 350 subscribers within these months. Some people get it faster, but I'm just saying that there's a way that I've been able to do this, because before, you can look back 1 year ago, I would post inconsistently. That's when I had so many goals. I would never really grow the channel. It will only be my friend, you can see that the few subscribers I've had that back then, it was 10 or 14 subscribers. I only have those people watching, and I never grew because I didn't post consistently. I didn't put in the work. I had so many other things that I wanted to do at the same time. But it's only now that I've actually focused on doing this that I've made it happen. But this is not just about your goals, it's also about your thoughts. If you really want essentialism to work in your favor, you need to channel all your thoughts towards your goals. Because if you're thinking about all sorts of other stuff, watching TV, watching the news, watching all of this stuff, if you're making your brain have to think about and take in all of this information of other stuff, then you won't have as much brain power to focus on the things you actually want to achieve. So the way that you can do this is limit the input into your brain, the distractions, all of the things that are not towards your goals. Limit those things. So that could be scrolling, consuming meaningless content, maybe even watching the news, because to be honest, some of those stories you don't really need to hear them. So some of this stuff that's not gonna make you get towards your goal, why are you doing that? You're just taking all of your brain power and sapping it into things that's not gonna help you get to your goal. So by removing these things, you have less time to think about all sorts of other stuff, so that literally while you're on the toilet, you'll be thinking about how can I progress, and you'll be doing all sorts of things, and you'll just be thinking about your goals.
And this is literally, it seems autistic and shit, but this is the way that you progress. This is the way that you see faster results, and you actually see that you're going somewhere, that you're not just staying the same place because you're shooting 10 arrows instead of focusing on that one. And this is also about the activities that you do. Make sure that everything that you do in your life is aligned to your goals, because if it isn't, then why are you doing that? It's not going to help you. If it's not going to help you get to there, then why are you doing it? If you really want to achieve something, you should only do the things that's going to get you to where you want to be. Because if you're doing all sorts of other things, you'll also be going in another direction. And this is the thing with essentialism. We want to focus on just going in one direction and just only go there and not go all these other ways. This is the way that you can focus on less things and achieve more. Because by doing this, instead of trying a little bit on 10 different things, you'll try only 1 or 2 things, right? And you'll just go all in on it. You'll only think about those things instead of trying to, divide your brain power into 10 different things. Then you can't really get anywhere. But if you only focus on very, very few things, you can just channel all of your energy and all of your focus towards that, and then you will see success. And that's how you actually progress. So for pretty much all of my self-improvement journey, I've been trying to improve everything at once. I've been trying to improve my mental and physical health, while also trying to improve on this channel, making better videos and growing. Recently, I've seen a lot of people having success with a kind of different approach. This is where you put your focus and attention at only one place for 2 to 3 months, and then only do everything at the bare minimum. So let's just say this was fitness. Then you spend all of your time like dialing in your nutrition, you train hard, you research how to do better workouts, you focus solely on that one thing. And then, with meditation and work for the channel, you just do the bare minimum. And I've seen a lot of people having success with this, because when they spend so much time on one thing, they improve way more and way faster in that one thing, because that's the only thing they have on their mind. And sure, they might not progress so much on the other things, but it's better to improve at something than to improve very slowly at nothing. You've probably seen or heard about the book Essentialism, and in that book there is a drawing of a circle, with like arrows all over to the side. I'll put a picture on screen of it, and that just goes to show that, let's say each arrow on that picture is your attention. If you put your attention at many different places, your arrows won't go that far. You won't get that far if you try to improve your mental health and your work and your physical health all at the same time. They won't, like the arrows, you won't get that far as if you just had one priority, and that was fitness or your work. That one arrow would be way longer. So it's actually better, at least that's what I've come to conclusion to think, if you actually just focus on one thing and then just keep the others at like stalling level, just stalling them and keeping the bare minimum. And so you'll see on the picture that I put up that the one where you just focus on one thing, the arrow will be way longer, because if you only focus on one thing, you can get way further with that one thing. And then once you have that thing at that level, then you can do the bare minimum of that. Just do what you are here, and you'll stay up here at the arrow, but then you can move the other arrows, and suddenly you have all the arrows moved. So instead of trying to do all 3 arrows at once, just do one at a time. I thought, why don't I try this while being on my dopamine detox? Because I'm already doing all of this stuff, and if I can focus on one thing like every 2 to 3 months, then I can literally improve a lot in this 1 year. So what I've thought about doing is that for the next 2 to 3 months, I don't know however it's going to be 2 or 3 months, I'm going to focus solely on YouTube. I'm still going to meditate, I'm still going to work out, I'm still going to do all of these things, but I'm going to try to keep them just at the bare minimum and focus solely on creating better videos, improving my skills, improving editing, speaking, whatever it may be, even my style of videos, trying to find the right one for me and just produce better content for you. And these months are just going to be solely focused on growing the channel, and then, as I said, do all of the other things at the bare minimum. And this way I hope to actually see better and bigger improvements by just focusing on one thing. So because I also have school, I'm going to be doing the bare minimum of gratitude journaling and meditation,
And I don't really know about reading because, I might need to read a book on like speaking or whatever the fuck because, it's going to improve for YouTube. But I'm going to try to keep them like low, but to the point that I still like do them. So I have more time to focus on YouTube. So instead of having like an hour long morning routine, I'll like cut it down. So I have like even more time in the morning and also like in the evening. So once this period of 2 to 3 months is over, then I'll think about it again and see, do I need another period with this one thing to focus on? Or do I want to shift my focus and attention over to maybe fitness, maybe mental health, whatever it may be? Because then once I do that, I've already moved the arrow, as I like talked about before with essentialism. I've already moved the arrow up for like work a lot. So then I might say, oh, now I want to move the arrow of this other thing. And then I'll like just do like the bare minimum of work. And then I'll focus on fitness and then I'll focus on mental health. I'm actually super excited to see how this will serve me in this new approach and see if it's actually going to produce the results that I want and the results that I'm kind of expecting from it. Because this is the thing, when you're young and when you're like trying to learn everything, just try new things. That's how you learn. Take action. You may say, oh, this didn't really work, I'm going to do this instead, then I'm going to try this. Because for a long time I've just been doing everything at once. But now I'm trying this and, we'll see how it works. And if you've yourself tried to do this, go down in the comments and write like how it went for you. About 2 months ago, my schedule was quite good and I was quite productive. But there was one thing that was not so good. Every morning when I would wake up at 5 a.m. to do my deep work, I would grab my computer and sit in my bed and do the work. And I would, do the tasks that I should do. But at the end of the session, I would always start watching a little bit of YouTube. Sitting there in the bed under the blanket in the dark kind of, with my lamp on only, no sunlight, no nothing. I would say, oh yeah, one video doesn't really matter. You've already found how you're going to make 2 videos. Just watch one video. And then, when my deep work session was over, I was moving on to the morning routine. And, then I need to read. And I was like, oh, it's more comfortable laying down. I'm going to lay down while reading. And I would literally almost fall asleep because, as I said, my curtains was like still rolled down. So I only had this small lamp that I have over here turned on. So it's like kind of dark still. So I'd lay there with the book, laying down with a blanket, still being warm, still being sleepy. And I would almost fall asleep. And I couldn't see like why I would always like fail with these things because I knew that I needed to read and I knew that I needed to do the deep work. But instead I would just watch YouTube and fall asleep almost. If you don't already know me, my name's Lawrence and I hope young men fast track their self-improvement success. You're clearly interested in that, so just go down and click that subscribe button right now. The problem was that I was doing all of this in my bed. And why was I sitting in my bed, you might ask? It's because I had one chair in my room. And on that one chair, that's the chair where you put your clothes. You have those clothes, like they're clean enough to like be used again, but they're not clean enough to go inside your closet. So instead, you just throw them on the chair, the chair that, and clothes just start stacking up, and you never really use them again. They'll just be laying there for 2 months until you decide to like wash them or something. But yeah, that was the chair, and so I didn't want to bother like getting up and moving all the clothes and then sitting down to do the work. And of course you're supposed to sleep in your bed. That's what it's made for. The reason why I fell asleep while trying to read was because my brain associates my bed with sleeping, which is great. That's the whole point. So you shouldn't do that. And I could also remember I used to read in the mornings, but then I would have like my bookshelf in another room. And so when I had to read, like the books were in the other room. And so I couldn't be bothered to like get up and get the book. So I'd end up just reading some shallow shit on my computer instead of actually reading the book that I was invested in and wanted to, read until it was done. But I've changed my environment completely. I've moved everything around my room. I now have like 2 chairs in my room. So the clothing chair, like the one that I just throw my clothes on, I still have it. I moved it over to right next to my bed. So the moment I wake up, I can just put my clothes on. And then I've got this chair that I'm sitting in here right now into my room. So, there was no friction to just getting up and sitting on this chair. So now instead, what I will do is I'll immediately get up from my bed, go to this chair, roll the curtains, so I'm not really sleepy. I can see that it's like day outside. And I'll just sit on this chair because there's nothing on this chair at all times. It's just completely empty, so I can go over and my computer's already waiting at the desk. So I'll just sit right behind there and I'll just do the deep work. And I also made like reading easier, so I don't have to like get up really and go into another room to get the books.
Like this, it seems so lazy that you don't want to do that, but there's no point in not making it as easy for yourself. So what I did, I literally took the whole bookshelf, took all of the books out, and I moved it in here, and it's right like next to the camera. I'm not going to show you, but it's right here next to the camera. I took all of the books out, moved the whole bookshelf, put them all in again, and now when I have to read, I just go over and grab a book. Like for example, I'm reading this book right now, so I'll just go over and like grab it like that. And it's so nice having it in here, so I don't need to like walk around the house to like get the books. I've basically made every task, like doing it, so easy, and there's no friction. I've set myself up for success, because if you can make it so easy to do the hard work, you see what I mean? If you make it so easy to do the hard work, then you'll obviously do it. Then it'll be way easier to do all of these things, and there's no friction. It just goes like this, bam, 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 because I have everything right in front of me. Want to read? Okay, take 2 steps, and then you have the bookshelf. Want to go work? Take 2 steps, and you're at the desk. You see, I have everything in here, just like around. Want to film the videos? You have it right here, all the setup. You just need to put your phone in the stand, and you know, put on the microphone and shit, and then boom, you're recording. Like everything is so easy to start. There's no friction. Like, you know, you want to go studying, oh, I have to find the book, I have to start reading, oh, then I have to take some notes. See, it's all ready. I can just immediately get to work, immediate get to reading. There's no like, oh, I have to do this first, and then I have to do this. It's just boom, work, boom, boom, boom. It's so smart to just set yourself up, because if you set your environment up for success, you set yourself up for success. You already always hear about like planning and making sure that you're ready, and you don't need to think about the task that you're going to do. Why think about, you know, having to go in another room? Why not put every most important thing right next to when you wake up, so you can just easily do it the moment you open your eyes? Changing your environment can also be very good if you're like struggling, or if you're just overall trying to start self-improvement and you want to make that environment change from like going in that like degenerate environment, and you want to come out of that and just have a fresh start, because everything feels new when you like get a new environment. I've heard of many people like moving out of their house, or moving from their parents' house, or moving back to their parents' house. You might not have that option. I don't either. So moving like the things of your room around could be a good idea. Like I moved a lot of stuff around. It already became a habit for me to like go around it right now, but the first few days it will feel completely new. It will feel like you live in a new room, just because everything you've had, you just move it around. And it's really nice when you're trying to start self-improvement, that you just move everything around and it feels like you're in a completely new room. So yeah, I hope this video helped you a lot. And just go ahead and change your environment if you need to. Make it as easy for yourself as possible to do all of the tasks you need to do.
Alright, so this next part of the guide will help you unfuck your productivity and stop procrastinating. It doesn't matter if this is in your studies, homework, your normal work, whatever it is. This will unfuck your productivity and make you stop procrastinating.
Procrastination is something that we probably all struggle with. Sitting down to do the work, but then ending up scrolling or wasting your time. Luckily, I found a way to stop procrastinating, and even better, it's super easy. After watching and implementing the strategies in this video, you can finally stop doing everything in the last minute and finally start doing the work you need to. You can achieve all of this with these 2 simple methods that have helped me work on YouTube every morning at 5 AM, put out content every day for 3 months, but also breezing through every single one of the school assignments. I've always struggled with putting in the work. When I had homework, I would procrastinate on it for over 1 hour, and then when I finally sat down to do the homework, I would bring my phone and watch TikTok whilst trying to do the homework. So the work I was able to produce was shit anyway. And so when I started self-improvement 2 years ago, I still had that problem. I would now not only procrastinate on homework, but also on making videos, reading, and almost everything. I was always mad at myself because I never got to the point that I wanted to, simply because I procrastinated. Luckily, I found a system that I've been using for the past 1.5 years, but over time I've changed it and improved it to make it even better. The reason why we procrastinate is because the task we need to complete feels big and daunting. So to stop procrastinating, we have to make that task less daunting, which these 2 steps will. Enough talking, now let's go. Step 1. Drop your ego and do 5 minutes. 2 years ago, I wanted to get the work done, but I was overwhelmed. I didn't want to admit that I couldn't sit down and work with full focus for 1 hour. I wanted to complete all the homework in 1 session, but I wasn't at that level. In reality, I could probably only do 5 minutes of work. If you're struggling with procrastination,
then the same thing is probably happening for you. You're setting the bar way too high. So literally make it too easy. Drop your ego and realize that 5 to 10 minutes is more fit for you. The next time you work on something, just do 5 to 10 minutes, and then slowly with time you can increase the length of your work. You can also use this 5-minute method when you just don't feel like doing it, like when you've built up the discipline but you just don't feel like doing it that day. So say to yourself, okay, I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes and I'm just going to work for that period of time, just 5 minutes, and then I'll stop. What I found is that when I use this for my school assignments, it's that after 5 minutes I'm kind of already in the flow, and then my brain's like, I just might as well keep working until I don't want to. It's not doing the task that is hard, but it's starting the task. And that's why it helps to tell yourself you're only going to do 5 minutes, because it's not hard to start work and do 5 minutes. And then what happens is that after those 5 minutes, your brain might be like, it's not that bad actually. So drop your ego and make it too easy. Step 2. Task books and trackers. To make more positive feedback loops, we can make trackers. These also decrease the risk of you doing the easiest task even though it's not important. But first, grab a pen and a notebook, then write down all the tasks you need to do. Here's an example. So today I need to write a script, record the audio, and edit the audio. Once you have your list of tasks, set checkboxes on the side of the notebook for every task you have, and I'm going to explain why in a bit. Now that you have your checkboxes, I want you to add something that I just recently learned. So beside your checkboxes, rank how important the task is. So A1 is the most important, A2 is the second most important, A3 the third, and A4 the fourth. And then, you get it. After 3, you go to B1, B2, B through B4. And then if you have that many tasks, then you go to C1, C2, C3, C4. Let me just explain the checkboxes. So as I said in my habit tracker video, ticking a box just gives the feeling of accomplishment. It feels like gathering XP in a video game or completing a quest. So if we can have that positive feedback, then we take it. Now the reason why we mark with A, B and C is because it keeps you away from doing the easiest task. Let's say we wrote down all the tasks you had to do. Your brain would most likely do the easy one first. But when it literally says which one is most important and most hard, it feels like breaking a rule not doing the task you are supposed to. Because not doing the task you were actually meant to is also a form of procrastination. This holds you accountable and makes sure you're doing the right task. The reason why a notebook with your tasks written down and rated by how important they are will stop you from procrastination is because procrastination often happens because of confusion. Because it's not clear in your mind exactly what task it is that you need to do. Because it's not specified, so your brain is confused on what it needs to do, and therefore it's easier to procrastinate. We are programmed to do the most easy thing, and when doing the work is confusing, we obviously choose scrolling. So write down your tasks to make it simple for your brain and easy to understand the task you need to do. And if you want even more positive feedback loops, you can make a habit tracker to track your task and work even more. I've already made a video on habit trackers, so I'll just link it in the description. So let's summarize. If you use these 2 methods, I guarantee you the amount of times you procrastinate will decrease to almost none. So for one last time, step 1, drop your ego and do 5 minutes. Step 2, make task books and trackers. Once again, you're watching endless productivity videos. You promised yourself for the past 3 days that you would do the work. But again, here you are learning about the Pomodoro technique or whatever this shit is called. I'll be honest, you've been sold a lie. You're doing productivity all wrong because you've had some bad teachers. You've probably been told to set up your Notion workflow and use the forest app where a tree grows the longer you work. And lastly, remember to do the Pomodoro technique. But none of this shit works. In this video, I will help you rewrite the script that you've been taught in just 3 simple steps so you can finally stop optimizing your productivity system and instead just do the actual work, whether it's in your business, in your homework or whatever it is. And this method got me from scrolling and watching productivity videos for 3 hours a day to working in that time instead. Step 1, why normie advice won't work. About 3 years ago, when I started self-improvement and wanted to level up my productivity, I watched all these videos just like you. I was a gamer gooner who spent most of his days scrolling and doing nothing. I was literally so unproductive that when I had to do my homework, I would watch TikTok on the side. I thought I was spending my time productively when I started to optimize my productivity workflow. But it was only 1 year later that I realized something that would change my life for the better. I realized that
Just like when I had started the gym, I hadn't spent months before trying to create the perfect workout plan and diet plan. So why the fuck was I spending so much time trying to perfect my productivity routine when I haven't even done any work yet? I just needed to start working. The only reason why these people tell you to do all these things is so you can keep watching their videos so they make more money. That's the reality. Because you're basically just a lazy person hidden in productivity systems. You can't perform work at the same level as these influencers, so you don't need a system. You just need to take action. But Loritz, I'm not motivated. I can't work for multiple hours. Step 2. Shatter your ego. I've said this before, but it's so fundamental before we can even start to think about productivity. When I first started watching productivity videos, I thought I was the man. I thought I could go ahead and do a deep work block of 1.5 hours. But as I told you before, I was a gamer gooner. I needed to get humbled and nobody else did it, so I had to humble myself. I needed to realize that I could probably only do 5 minutes of work before I was scrolling TikTok again. And this is the only way to become consistent. If you keep lying to yourself thinking you can do an hour of work, then you can say goodbye to ever working because you're not that great. If you want to start working, just do 5 to 10 minutes because then you can start building consistency, and slowly as you get used to 5 minutes you can bump up the time. And it's only when you kill that ego that you actually will start working, because until then it will feel overwhelming. Step 3. The only productivity system you need. Now that you've dropped your ego, we can get into the productivity systems I use. And these are literally the only ones you need. I know I shit on the other guys' productivity systems before, but this is so basic and fundamental. And it's not some crazy shit. It's simply just 2 things. Number 1, the task book. This is used before the work session, so go and grab a notebook. Every night before I go to bed, I sit down with my notebook and I write down what tasks I need to do in my work block the following morning. Once I've written them all out, I rank them by importance. This way I know which tasks I have to do first and which are the most crucial. And I do this by naming the most important task A1 and then the second most important task A2, and you get it, so on. You get A3, A4 and so on. Then I make a checkbox at the end of the row, so I get a little, a little cheeky dopamine spike every time the task is done, so I can check it off. And by doing this, you know exactly what you need to do in your work session, because you don't end up procrastinating by saying, oh yeah, I don't know what work to do. Number 2, the deep work analyzer. This is something I've started using fairly recently, but if you're a noob in productivity, it will still help you. I've made a spreadsheet where I write down for each work session what tasks I plan on doing for the session, just like in the task book. And then when I'm done with the work session, I write down how much I did, what distracted me, and how I could change that. And this way I get a chance to improve my productivity after literally every work session. And I will even leave a link in the description so you can go ahead and download this spreadsheet for free. And if you pair these 2 tools, you're all set. That is everything I use to do deep work for 2 hours a day, and that is not even school included. You don't need anything more than this. You don't need the Notion infrastructure. You just need to know what task you're doing. You need to be distractionless, and you can become that by analyzing your distractions with the spreadsheet.
Okay, so I'm literally editing the video right now and I just realized I forgot to mention the part where I'm telling you about the practical advice that you're going to do every single day. I forgot to present it. So yeah, right after you watch the procrastination course, what you're going to see next is all the practical advice and the things that you can use every single day to actually unfuck your life. So I just wanted to tell you that.
I feel like we've never lived in a more confusing time than right now. We have access to all the information we'll ever need, yet for some reason our brains just aren't working properly. There's been a big trend recently of videos about unfucking your brain, but I think most of them don't fully explain what it means to have a brain that doesn't seem to work. This video will go deeper than telling you to stop using TikTok. In fact, I've come up with a 3-step method that allowed me to stop feeling like I was living on autopilot, struggling to focus and constantly having dreams of starting things, but never having the mental energy. There will be some dark revelations in this method, but I think you'll completely understand them. Maybe it'll give you answers you've been looking for. When I first started self-improvement, my brain was quite fucked. I would think depressing and anxious thoughts quite a lot, and it ruined my life, to be honest. This resulting in me staying indoors, scrolling and indulging. I wanted to be a focused, disciplined guy, and I had even dreams of starting a business. this could never happen for me because I would overthink the dumbest things like, oh, what if I hurt that person, or what if I do this wrong, or what if I don't get the assignment done, what if I fail, what if I fuck up. This just made me a scared person all the time. But when I started doing self-improvement habits and started actually thinking about why I felt like this, I realized what I had been doing wrong, which I want to share with you. Step 1. Your habits don't define you. You've probably been told by many YouTubers that your bad habits are the reason why you feel like shit and why your brain is fucked. But that's actually not how it works entirely. The dark realization I've had is that what ruins you is how you view the habits you do. When you spend all day fixating on your bad habits, it will always ruin your day. I found that when I went about my day always telling myself, oh, you just scrolled, oh, you just played video games, oh, you just fabbed, then my life actually got worse. So it was my thoughts that ruined me and not just the habits. The dark thing I realized is that when you fix your thoughts, it's way easier to fix your bad habits. So this is how you fix your thoughts. To make sure we don't let any bad thoughts have an effect on us, we must guard our brain. What I did was becoming more present by being mindful and aware. I don't just fall deep into a thought, but I can actually observe the thoughts that come into my brain. And when I observe the thoughts, I get a chance to question their relevance and see if the thought is good for my brain. And if not, I can just dismiss it so my brain doesn't get any more fucked. So how do we become present, you might ask? I did it through mindful meditation. It's a practice where you focus on your breath until your focus fades and you fall deep into thought. And when you realize that your brain has fallen into thought, then it returns to focusing on the breath. By doing this, you train your brain to be less and less deep in thought and more in the now, because the breath is in the now, and the longer you can focus on the breath, the more you can be present. I use an app called Medito to meditate. It's free and I definitely recommend it. Now that you've started meditating, the next time you have bad thoughts, you'll most likely be more aware of them and have the opportunity to discard them. Step 2. The bare minimum. When my brain was really fucked, it was also because I didn't do human things. I didn't spend much time outside and I didn't exercise. A simple part of unfucking your brain is going into nature and climbing a tree, even if it feels awkward, because that can feel awkward sometimes when people walk by. For example, me and my friend, we often go to the local forest and climb trees and just explore the forest. It's such a healing experience and peaceful experience, and it's also fun at the same time. Another simple part of unfucking your brain is exercise. With a maximum of 1 rest day a week, I go to the gym every day, which is something all humans should do. So if you don't do that, then that might also be a reason why your brain is fucked. And then something that really helped me was gratitude. Sitting down each morning and writing on a piece of paper 5 things I'm grateful for, it really helps with becoming more positive and happy, which is also a part of unfucking your brain. Step 3. Find your path. This last step is very important. This is how you can make the bad habits that fuck your brain up stop without hyper-fixating on them. What I did was I found a meaningful goal, something I was excited to do every day when I woke up, and something I genuinely care about. In my case, it's YouTube. I love doing this and I spend a lot of time doing so. For you, it could be playing an instrument, going to the gym, dancing, or whatever you enjoy doing. Instead of hyper-fixating on the bad habits, I hyper-fixate on YouTube. The more you focus on your meaningful goal, the less time you have to focus on the bad habits. When you have a goal that's meaningful, doing the bad habits seem pointless. You don't even feel like doing them because to you the work is more fulfilling and exciting. Alright, let's summarize. If you want to unfuck your brain, here are the 3 steps. Step 1. Stop fixating on bad habits. It's your thoughts that ruin you. Practice mindful meditation to become present and aware of bad thoughts. Step 2. Do the bare minimum such as gratitude, exercise, and going into nature. Step 3. Find a meaningful goal in something you care about so much that you will use so much time on it that there won't be any time left for bad habits. These were the things I did to unfuck my brain, and I'm sure it'll work for you as well. Discipline used to be this alien word to me that I heard all the time, but I didn't know how to add it to my own life. Well, after spending well over a year researching discipline, studying the experts, and adding little things to my own life, I finally became disciplined. Meaning every day I had the energy and systems in place to sit down and do difficult work.
I want to share my 3-step method with you that turned me into a disciplined machine. If you're waking up with no energy every day, then this video is for you. But I have to warn you, because I had to go deep into my own mind to learn the truth. When I began my self-improvement journey, I heard a lot of YouTubers saying, you need to meditate for 10 hours a day and then work out this many times a week and work 3 hours with full focus when you wake up, and then you can build discipline. The reality for me was that I couldn't sit down to do 10 minutes of meditation. I could at max do 3 minutes, and also I didn't even want to meditate. So when I started meditating and doing some other habits, I had trouble staying consistent and also trouble with progressing. I would stay at the same minutes of meditation for so long, and I would only do it once a week instead of every day as I promised myself. Now being 2 years into this, I wake up at 5 AM to work on videos. I work out every day and I can comfortably meditate 15 minutes each morning. It's only now that I've realized that discipline is not what these guys tell you it is, which I want to share with you. Step 1. The mystery of discipline. What I've come to realize is that discipline is not meditating, it's not working out, it's not carrying the logs or whatever. Discipline is simply doing something when you don't feel like doing it. It's that simple. Let me give you an example. This Saturday I woke up and needed to train legs, and when I started to think of it that morning, I didn't really want to. I did though end up coming to the gym to train legs, which means I used discipline to go to the gym. If I had been really excited and wanting to go to the gym that day, then it wouldn't have been discipline. This is why I realized it was incredibly important that I drop my ego, which you should too if you're trying something new. Because if I were to meditate, which I already didn't feel like doing, it wouldn't really help me if the meditation session was 15 minutes, because that would just make it harder for me. So when just starting out, start so small that it's too easy for you, and only when you build the habits, which is step 3, you can increase the time and difficulty and etc. Step 2. Unlock more hours. So these are the more practical 2 steps I used to become more disciplined. The first one was I started removing the distractions. I stopped scrolling, I stopped playing video games, and I stopped going out. Day by day and week by week, I slowly removed each one, because obviously when you've been addicted for so long, it's hard to just stop it all in one day. Usually all the time I had in my day would be eaten up by pointless activities I mentioned before. But now I finally had time. And here's what I did to fill that time with productive things, and how I used the time I had now effectively. Step 3. The productivity bundle. When I started using these things, my life became like a video game. I played a lot of video games with levels and XP from Minecraft to Fortnite. XP is experience points that you get from doing tasks, and once you have enough XP, you level up. The way we can recreate this system is with a habit tracker. If you don't know what a habit tracker is, it's basically a piece of paper with boxes for every day, and then if you do the habit on the given day, you tick it, and if you don't do the habit, then you cross the checkbox. Every checkbox will act as collecting XP. And so every time you do the habit, it gives you a little dopamine spike, because somehow ticking the box just kind of feels good. And when you build up a streak of doing the habit, you also don't want to miss a day, which makes you even more consistent with the habit. I've already made a habit tracker template for you that I will link in the description, so you can go and have that for free. Once you have that tracker, just fill it out with the habit you want to do at the top, and then where it says new identity, put the person you want to become by doing the habit. Now that you have your habit tracker ready, stick it up on your wall next to your bed, so make sure you're always reminded to do the habit. And if you don't do the habit, the tracker will always be staring at you, telling you that you didn't do it. This is the best method for accountability and building your habits. And the next method here is for using your time productively throughout the day. It's the timetable. Just like we have in school, where you're set to do something at every specific hour. We can use this for our own personal lives as well. So what I did was open your notes app on your phone, then write down a task you're going to do for every hour of the day. Make this your absolute most productive day. The day that gets you to your goals. This is not because we're aiming to be perfect, but because then we always have something better to strive for. Really make sure the tasks you put achieve your goals and get you progress. Because the trick here is to make your day a habit, so we can make productivity a habit. Now you have 2 trackers, one for building habits and holding you accountable, and one for making sure you stick to doing the productive things and to make sure you always have a task to do. The reason why we also often don't stick to new habits is because we have to think about when we're going to do them. But with a timetable, you can always just open the notes app and check what you should be doing. So let's summarize. These are the 3 things I use to become more disciplined, and they work so well, especially the habit tracker and timetable. Step 1.
Discipline is doing something when you don't feel like it. Therefore, when just starting out, drop your ego. Step 2. Remove distractions and bad habits to free up more of your time. Step 3. Use a habit tracker to build habits and hold yourself accountable. Use a timetable to make sure you have the chance to use every hour of the day productively and never be unsure of what task you need to do. I'm really confident that this will make you more disciplined, so go and try it. Trying to make time for everything as a teenager is rough. Let's be honest. School dominates half your day, and then you never have the energy to do the things you actually care about. Most of the people we know just get home and scroll. Luckily, I found a way to make time for everything, and I mean everything. School, YouTube, self-improvement, and a part-time job. Somehow it feels pretty effortless now. I have really high energy, and it's all because of this 3-step system I learned. If you're a teenager watching this, I'm actually proud of you, because this is top 1% teenager stuff. You're going to learn a lot. So let's begin. When I first started self-improvement 2 years ago, there were many habits I wanted to do. My problem was that I didn't have time for it, or at least that's what I told myself. My friend would say to me, "Oh, why don't you start going to the gym with me?" Quickly I was defending myself, telling him that I didn't have time because I needed to go to work and school and do homework, as well as also play badminton. So I don't have time. Because I continued to tell myself that, it became a reality. I genuinely thought I didn't have time. In reality, I was just coping. This was just a sign of bad time management. Now I go to school every day from 8 till 3 p.m. I go to the gym, work a part-time job, spend time with my family and friends, do homework, and also make videos. And the funny thing is, I have less time to do all this now than I had 2 years ago. Step 1. Find out what you want to focus on. So first, write a list on a piece of paper with 10 things that would be nice to have time for in your day. Then circle the 2 most important things and rank which of the 2 things is the most important out of all of the list. Now it would be better to just have 1 thing left on the paper that you want to focus on. But since you're also in school, I think that's too unrealistic. For me, the 2 things I prioritize are exercise and YouTube. This is what I spend most of my free time on. For you, it could be fixing your mental health, going to the gym, spending your time with family, working on business, doing homework, or etc. These things that are actually important, unlike scrolling and endless content consumption. Now you might say, "Oh, but the title says, how do I make time for everything?" Yeah, when I say everything, I'm talking about important and meaningful things. And since you can't do every important and meaningful things, you have to be picky. You have to pick the ones that will actually serve you the most and which you actually like the most. Step 2. Make a timetable on paper and your phone. So even though the timetable isn't the most sexy answer, it's the way that you can fit in all the important things you want to do. So now that you've written down the 2 things that you want to focus on, we have to plan your time so it's used as efficiently as possible. So again, take a piece of paper and write down what your ideal day would be. Now this day should be the most productive day you can think of. Now while writing the timetable, keep in mind the things you have to do, like eat, sleep, go to school, but also the 2 things that you've picked out that you want to do. The reason why we write the most productive day is not because I think you're some kind of like David Coggins who is 100% productive and ultra disciplined. It's just because then you have something productive to do at all times and something better to aim for. Now that you have your productive timetable, write it down in your phone notes so you can always see which task you need to be doing. Step 3. Remind and adjust. Now that you have your ideal day written down, you want to try sticking to that routine every day. Now this is hard, and that's why we have to put some reminders in place. The first one I do is making it a habit to randomly open the Notes app and look at timetable instead of just scrolling on weird shit on social media, and this will really ingrain the timetable more into your brain. Now if you're a bit forgetful like I am, then you can also take that timetable and stick it on your wall. But I'm not so much home on the school days because I have school from 8 till 3 p.m. as I said, then I go to work and to the gym. So hanging my timetable on my wall doesn't really help because I'm not so much home. But there is one thing, putting my timetable as my phone wallpaper. Because then every time I open my phone, which is obviously quite often, I can see it, and therefore I'm always reminded and never confused of what task I need to do. And now you have an easy time remembering what you need to do and when. Then every week, sit down and review the timetable. Was there something you could optimize, make more realistic, or save a few minutes here and there? By doing this, you make sure your timetable is always updated and at its full potential. Let's summarize. If you follow these 3 steps, step 1, find what you want to focus on. Step 2, make timetable on paper and phone. Step 3, remind and adjust. I guarantee you'll start using your time way more effectively and finally make time for all the things you've wanted to do. It's a Sunday night, and after sleeping in the whole weekend, you watch countless morning routine videos. You tell yourself that tomorrow you'll go for a run at 5 AM, then meditate 10 minutes and journal, and the list just goes on. But when you wake up the next day, it's 5 AM, it's dark, you can barely open your eyes, and since the morning run feels like a voluntary hell, you skip it. Now you're thinking to yourself, why can I never get this done and actually follow a morning routine? It's because you've been lied to. All these people online telling you to wake up at 5 AM so you have time for a 2-hour morning routine before working. That is not reality. So let me share with you the realization I had after 2 years of doing morning routines that made me finally productive. And I'm going to show you how to implement it into your own life in 3 simple steps so you can finally stop wasting your mornings and instead actually become productive. Step 1. The realization. After 2 years of self-improvement, I'd been doing a morning routine that lasted over 1 hour. It was filled with meditation, journaling, red light therapy, and even working out. Every morning I woke up at 6 AM to complete it. While that was going well for me, I struggled to get my work done because when I came home from school, I was kinda already tired and most definitely distracted. As you can probably imagine, my work sessions turned into procrastination sessions, and I never got to work on this channel. It took me 2 years to realize why I never got consistent with making videos. And the simple reason was that to be focused while doing the work, I needed to do it in the morning. But I never had time in the mornings because my morning routine was using all the time. I figured that maybe it's not worth it to fill my whole morning out if that results in me never being productive with my work. So that couldn't be the final answer. So let me show you how to implement this approach. Step 2. Transforming your morning routine. Now we know that morning routines don't have to fill out your whole morning. What if I tell you there is a way to get your whole morning routine done while also getting your deep work done? It's actually so simple and it sounds a little dumb. But basically what I did was I made my morning routine an afternoon routine. I found out that I needed to get my work done in the morning or else I wouldn't do it, so therefore I moved all the habits I did in the morning to the afternoon. At that time I started waking up at 5 AM as well, so now I literally had 2 hours every morning to work, and with the quality of my videos at the time, that was enough to make a whole video in the morning. I had never heard of anyone doing this, where they would move their morning routine to the afternoon. But be cautious, because with your scattered focus in the afternoon, there are still some problems we need to address, which is step 3, polishing your routine. There is one thing that can ruin it for you, and it ruined it for me. Only after a few days after I had moved my morning routine, I started to get inconsistent with some habits, and I eventually even stopped doing them. For me it was meditating and gratitude journaling, 2 habits that I thought were quite beneficial and which I enjoyed. So recently I've been experimenting with meditating and gratitude journaling first thing in the morning when I wake up, which only takes about 15 minutes. And to be honest, it has worked, so now I'm again completing all the habits while also getting my work done. And when you do this, it will most likely be the same. You'll have to experiment back and forth to find the perfect routine where you're both productive and consistent with everything. And remember, a productive morning isn't about cramming as many habits as possible. It's about finding what truly works for you. Start by prioritizing the things that matter most. Stay flexible and adapt as you go. When you balance focus and consistency, you'll not only build better routines but also create the space to accomplish your biggest goals.
I want to show you exactly how I increase my attention span and stop scrolling all day long. I have eliminated most of the bad habits in my life, but there is one thing that still bothers me, and that is scrolling and content consumption. This is the bad habit that I have had the hardest time getting rid of. And I literally started my dopamine detox just to get rid of this one habit. But there is one trick that has helped me slowly get rid of this addiction. And it's actually quite simple. I want you to forget about your phone. Before I explain and before you're like, oh yeah, how can I forget my phone? I want to make sure that your phone is the only place where you can waste time. So if you have like an iPad or a computer or whatever, you make sure to block those websites so you can't access like wasting time and scrolling on your computer or iPad or whatever the fuck you have, right? So make sure that your phone is the only place where you can like waste time, scroll, go on social media. And now once you made sure that your phone is the only place where you can waste time, then we can get to forgetting about your phone. And it's actually very simple to forget about your phone. All you need to do is to make it invisible. And if you don't already know, all habits start with a cue. So a cue is basically the thing that brings the habit to mind. So let's say, for example, you see your phone or you get a notification, then suddenly you're thinking of your phone and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I should go on my phone. When you see, when you walk past your phone, when you like feel it plinging in your pocket, then you'll be like, oh yeah, maybe I should grab my phone. That's a cue. And for me at least, a big cue with scrolling is to see my phone or to like get a notification, because I would not really that often get a desire to start scrolling if I wasn't thinking about my phone. And most of the time, you only think of your phone when you get a notification or you see it's within reach, you see it on your table. But when you don't see it, you kind of don't really think about it, it's there. So let's say the biggest cue for you using your phone is that you see your phone or you get a notification. If you make your phone invisible, then you will literally remove the cue, and therefore you won't even get the desire to actually do the habit. So there is a couple of techniques to make your phone invisible. You probably already do the first one, which is to have your notifications off. This makes sure that you don't get the cue to like notice your phone and then start scrolling, because you can like have your phone in like your pocket and then suddenly you hear like that pling, yeah, you know, and you're like, oh yeah, I need to check the message, and you check the message. Or you'll be like, oh yeah, I also need to look at this thing, and suddenly you're on TikTok or whatever the fuck you use, and then you're scrolling, right? So by turning off the notifications, your phone like won't be as easy, because you won't be aware of it at all times, because your friends are messaging you, you're getting this notification from a YouTuber who just posted or whatever it is. See, this is a simple one which like clears some of it, but the next technique is the one that really did it for me. This is really effective, and it is to hide your phone. And before you say, oh yeah, but I should be training my willpower. Yeah, sure, the method you're using now by trying to abstain from your phone, has it been working for you? Because I can tell you, for a long time, for years, like 1.5 years, I've been trying to like stop scrolling by saying, oh yeah, you need willpower, you just need to train your willpower, it's a muscle. Has that been working for you? If it hasn't, try something else, because you're probably not going to get anywhere. Trust me, if you just hide your phone away so you forget about it, then you'll literally stop using your phone. So what I want you to do is to place your phone in a room where you wouldn't go for your phone, or just a room that you're not usually going into, like in your house. So like take your phone and hide it away in one of those rooms. And once you like have the room, if you have like drawers or a pantry or something, just put it into there. So for example, one thing that I've done is to like go into my kitchen and then put my phone in one of the drawers, because I wouldn't go into the kitchen and open that drawer that often, and I definitely wouldn't be looking for my phone there. So like I don't really associate that room with scrolling, because obviously you're not scrolling in the kitchen. And now that you've made sure that your phone is hidden, just go about your day and do the habits that you've planned. And you'll find out that you'll actually forget a little bit about your phone, because you don't hear it, because you know your notifications are off, and you don't see it, so you won't feel that urge to scroll, because you know it's just not there. It's like if I took your phone, like if I could come to your house and like say, oh, give me a phone, and I took it and you didn't have it for a week, you would kind of like, oh yeah, that's fine, I can just live. Like you wouldn't be like fucking spazzing out because you couldn't use your phone. You would just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go on with life. It's actually not that bad to not have your phone. You can live life fine. Like you've probably tried having periods of your life where like you couldn't get to your phone, or there was no internet or whatever. You felt just fine. So you can forget about your phone by making sure you don't really see it. And this probably won't like completely rid of your addiction, but it will reduce the amount of time that you spend scrolling so much, because now it'll be easier to like get the cue for doing productive things, because you know you always choose, like the human brain chooses what is easiest. But when that easy option of just sitting down to scroll isn't there, then you'll actually like your brain will start thinking of like other productive things like to do. You know, you'd be like, oh, I could maybe read a book because I see my bookshelf, or oh yeah, I need to do this one thing on my computer that's been waiting. And now this is also why it's important to make sure that you don't use like your computer or your iPad or whatever you have for wasting time, because then you can just go and grab them. I tried this for a long time, where I'd like have the iPad in the living room. My mom has an iPad, and I would just like borrow that And, I would just go about my day, having my phone hidden. And then suddenly I'd find myself watching stuff on the iPad instead. So you want to make sure that you can't watch, like, dumb shit on those things as well. Just make sure that it's only your phone and then hide your phone away.
So in this video, I want to share with you the method I use to cut my screen time by at least 83.3%. After watching this video and implementing the steps, you would go from being a guy who wastes his days scrolling even though he said he would be productive, to being the guy who can get work done and isn't controlled by scrolling all the time. This can be achieved with the ESP system that I developed and used to free myself from scrolling addiction. I went from being the guy who would spend on average 6 to 7 hours on my phone to now some days using 30 minutes only. This picture, which is of course real, of my screen time the past few days should be enough to assure you that the system works. So let's get into it. So for a long time I struggled with phone addiction. I remember multiple days where I would tell myself, tomorrow I'm going to be productive, I'm going to meditate, gratitude journal and go to the gym. The problem was that after doing these tasks, I would just end up scrolling and wasting my day. Whenever I had time left, I'd just scroll. I couldn't stop and I wasted so many weekends just watching and scrolling. I couldn't find a fix and I felt like my addiction to scrolling controlled me. After years of struggling, I finally found a way out. And in this video I want to share my method, the ESP method with you. E. Eliminate. So because my addiction was strong and mindset shift wasn't enough to stop my addiction, I needed some barriers to stop using my phone as much. There were 3 specific things I did. Number 1. I turned my notifications off from all apps beside messages because that's where my parents text me. This way I don't get all sorts of random notifications distracting me and making me use my phone. I also deleted most of the apps that I used a lot of time on, so YouTube, TikTok and Instagram. I kept Snapchat because that's where I contact my friends, but because there is something on Snapchat called Spotlight, I scrolled even more, so I needed even more stuff to make me not scroll. Number 2. I use 2 apps that have really helped me lower my screen time. Now I'm not affiliated with any of these apps and this is not an ad. The first app is called Burnout Buddy. On Burnout Buddy you can create blocks for different apps, but the main thing I used it for was to schedule the time I could use my phone. I've put a block for the first few hours of the day and also later in the day, that way I don't scroll at times I don't want to. The other app I use is called ScreenSend. On ScreenSend, you can make a message pop up every time you open an app that makes you question if you really want to use it. I also use it to make a counter on how many times through the day I can use different apps. So for example, for Snapchat, I can use the app 5 times a day, 10 minutes each time. Number 3, put your phone in a different room. Every night before I go to bed, I put my phone in a different room. That's why it's not as easy for me to just wake up and start scrolling in the morning. Also do this whenever I need to do work or homework. Just putting my phone in another room to create more friction towards scrolling will definitely lower your screen time. Now that you have these tools you needed at first to turn down your scrolling a bit in place, we move on to the next step, which is S. S. Stop obsessing. At this point I started to realize that the reason why I could never stop scrolling was because I was obsessing so much over my scrolling addiction. All I would think about was, oh, I need to not scroll, oh, I shouldn't scroll, or just think about the topic all the time. This just made me scroll even more. Think about it. All those scare campaigns on TV to make people stop smoking actually worked the other way around, because every time a smoker sees one of the campaigns, he's reminded to smoke. That is the same with you. Every time you remind yourself of your addiction or scrolling, there's a bigger chance that you'll start scrolling. I also realized that the people I knew who didn't have problems with scrolling don't obsess over not scrolling. Like Hamza doesn't obsess over not scrolling. Iman Gadzi or Tate or whichever successful person you think about, they don't obsess over, oh, I can't use my phone. So now you might ask, if obsessing over my screen time makes me scroll more, what should I then obsess over? That is the third and last step, P. P for purpose. See, until now I thought that my screen time was the problem, but in reality my screen time was only a side effect of my actual problem. My actual problem was lack of direction, because when I didn't have anywhere to go, I would just aimlessly wander around and scroll. That's why we need to find a meaningful goal, something that will make you jump out of bed every morning and you'll be excited to do, something that gives you fulfillment and direction. something that takes up your time so you don't have time to scroll. And so to find a meaningful goal, I asked myself these two questions. Number one, what would I do if I knew I'd never be successful or make money? If you knew that you'd never be able to live off of your work, what would you do for work? Try finding something that you'll do for free anyways. For me, it was YouTube. I'll gladly do this for free, and I still currently do. This is not to say that you won't succeed or make money. It's just to make sure that it's something you actually enjoy, and you're not just doing it for the money. Number two, what problem would I like to endure? If the problems that will occur from the work you've chosen eventually will make you hate the work, then it's not worth it. For me, the problems of YouTube would be hate comments, accidentally not pressing record, having problems with editing software or my microphone. These are all things that won't ruin the experience for me, and I'll still like and want to keep doing the work regardless of these problems. Now that you have some meaningful work that you actually care about, you want to start changing the time you spend scrolling with the work. Since you actually want to do the work and find it meaningful, it will be more fun to work than to scroll. Now that you have direction, you won't aimlessly wander and end up scrolling. Instead, you wake up every day ready to work because you have purpose, direction, and a goal to achieve. Over time, your screen time will most likely go down automatically when you use more hours in your purposeful work. To be honest, I literally got addicted to the work instead of being addicted to my phone. So let's summarize. Here is the 3-step method I use to finally stop wasting so much time scrolling. ESP. E. Use apps to limit screen time, turn off notifications, and delete social media apps. Put your phone in a different room to create friction towards scrolling. S. Stop obsessing over your screen time. Understand that when you constantly think and obsess over your scrolling addiction, it's more likely that you will spend more time scrolling. P. Find a meaningful goal by asking yourself these two questions. What work would I do if I knew I'd never be successful or make money? What problems would I like to endure? For YouTube, it'd be not pressing record, getting hate comments, audio problems, and etc. Trust me, if you follow these 3 steps and commit to this method over time, your screen time will go down. I think we're all aware of what brain rot is in 2024 and where we get it from. But what if I told you that brain rot runs a lot deeper than just the shorts you see on YouTube, TikTok, and Skibbity Toilet? Our brains are getting cooked, and I want to share how it's actually happening and the 3 steps I took to quickly return some mental space, reclaim my mind, and actually be able to focus. Step 1. The deeper side effects. I want to tell you a story of how bad brain rot can get and the effects it has on you. For a big part of my life, I was the average Joe. I scrolled whenever I had nothing to do, without even knowing that the more I scrolled, the more my brain needed to be stimulated. And this would cause me to chase more stimulation and scroll even more. As you can tell, my brain was about to get very cooked. Almost fucking fried. What ended up happening was that I couldn't even go to the toilet without looking at my phone. I couldn't eat a meal. I couldn't sit in public transport without listening to music. I would literally watch YouTube while getting dressed for school. As you can tell, it was bad. And because I had to be stimulated all the time, I could never focus. Whenever I sat down to do homework or make a video, I would just scroll instead because my brain was so fucked. Now you see, the bad thing about scrolling social media and brain rot isn't only time waste, but it also makes you literally handicapped because you can't do shit without having your phone in your hand. Now let's move on to the solution to the problem. Step 2. The overstimulation challenge. With this challenge, I started seeing big improvements after only the first week. Because I was so deep in the hole of cooking my brain, I came up with this protocol. The thing is, if you have a scrolling session in the sofa here and there, that's not the dangerous part. The dangerous part is when you can't go to the toilet without it, or eat without it, and so on. So here are the rules. So no phone, scrolling, watching, and music is also included in these, by the way. And here are the list. When you take public transport, you can't do these. When you ride your bike, when you eat, when you take a shit, when you're washing the dishes, do one thing at a time and let the thoughts flow. This is so simple, and the reason why it works is because your brain begins to become normal again and it actually gets to think the thoughts it's supposed to. This was the thing that gave me my focus back, so I can actually sit down and work for longer periods of time, actually 2 hours, like literally straight. All of this sounds easy, but how do we actually do it in real life and make sure we don't quit? That is step 3. The tools to actually stay consistent. This was my problem for a long time. I knew what to do, but I could never be consistent with it. Eventually though, I found a solution to the problem. I've talked a lot about the habit tracker here on my channel, and yet again we can take advantage of it. If you haven't heard of it, it's basically a paper we hang on our wall to track our progress and hold us accountable. Luckily for you, I've made a free template that you can just go and grab in the description and print it out, so you don't even have to make one yourself. And I'll really quickly explain how to use it. Hang it on your wall somewhere you can't unsee, just something you see every day. And then every day that you keep within the rules, you tick the box, and when you don't keep the rule, when you fail, then you cross a box. And then for each row you can simply aim to be more consistent. This way you actually get your thoughts back and start to not cook your brain as much. It's really that simple, and again, I've made a completely free tracker that you can go and get in the description. So now you're literally equipped with the knowledge and tools I use to get my focus, thoughts and brain back after being completely cooked for such a long time.
Now this part of the guide, I will help you unfuck your social life, and I will reveal every single one of the realizations about relationships and friends that I've had over these past 3 years.
Let me guess, it's been another month of barely leaving the house and looking at your phone every morning to see you've got 0 messages. Well, at least Team Snapchat sent you a message. I hated when my life was like this, and when I escaped, I quickly realised that I was an idiot. There were 3 reasons that kept me friendless, and I'll be honest, it was a very dark realisation, because it had nothing to do with how I looked or what I said. If you're going through this, then this video will reveal 3 things you do and that I did that keep you alone. And I'm going to give you a solution to come back to the real world. This was me 2 years ago. I spent most of my time scrolling, watching and playing games. Back then there was a friend group of about 5 people that I was in. We started talking a lot in school, but then without me they would make plans about fun things they would do after school. You can imagine how shitty I felt the next day when they would tell me about what they had done together. But this was only the beginning. And when parties and stuff like that came into the picture, a couple months later it happens again. I remember this day very specifically. It was a Saturday night. I was very tired and about to go to bed. But before I went to bed, I decided to open Instagram and just check my phone. And I suddenly see that my friends have all posted stories. And guess what? When I open that story, it's a video of them all laughing, being at the party, running around, just having fun together. And I'm sitting there at home on a Saturday night. I remember going to bed that day, just feeling empty. I couldn't fall asleep because all sorts of thoughts were just racing around my head. Couldn't understand it, and I felt like shit. Now 2 years later, I don't have the same problems anymore, which I'm obviously grateful for. But that's not what the video is about. It's about telling my younger self what he needed to hear and why people ignored him. The reason number 1. Your life is not interesting. So as I told you, 2 years ago my life consisted of waking up, scrolling, going to school, coming home, scrolling, watching and gaming, and then a bit more scrolling before I went to bed. It was boring, not only to me, but to everyone around me. Now by having an interesting life, I don't mean you go bungee jumping or whatever every day. I simply mean that you actually use your time on something instead of wasting every hour. Because I'll be honest, I understand why no one reached out to me. It was because the way I treated myself, it wasn't even worth it. If you can have a purpose, a goal that you're driven by every day when you wake up, people will like you more and you'll bring more value, for you're not dependent on the friendship, which brings me to the second reason why you have no friends. Reason number 2, you're needy. Now most people use this term when they're talking about relationships with girls, but I've found that the same happens with your friends. So 2 years ago when my life consisted of doing nothing, the only interesting thing in my life was obviously being with my friends. And so I was quick to ask all the time, oh, when's the next hangout? Oh, when's the next time we're doing something? And if we weren't together, then I'd be texting them. And now I realise how horrible a mistake this was. People don't want to be your number 1. Even though you might think it, they would rather be friends with someone that has something going on in their life. It's just the same as with girls. When you're needy, you also feel desperate. People can feel that they are the only thing in your life and they don't like it. Think about this. If you had to introduce your friend to someone new and tell them about your friend and all he did was just waste his days away, would you be proud and really wanting to tell that to someone? Probably not. Even though it feels superficial to say that people are friends with you for your value, that's it. If they are the only ones in the friendship providing life and value and you aren't, then the friendship won't last too long. Reason number 3, you haven't found the right people. So if you fix the last 2 things and you still have no friends, which is very unlikely, it might be because you haven't found the right people. Maybe the people you've found until now have different interests and live a different life. What I've experienced is that you can only keep going, talking to new people and meeting new people. For me at least, it didn't take too long until I found new people with the same interests as me. And if you really can't find any friends, I'll leave a link to my Discord brotherhood in the description. You can join in there and chat to me and others on the same path as you. So let's summarize. Keep these 3 reasons in mind. Number 1, your life is not interesting. Find a purpose in life and something to do. People like it when they know you actually have a life. Number 2, you're needy. Make sure your friends aren't everything. Have a life and prioritize yourself. People can sense when you waste your days and cling to them for enjoyment. Number 3, you haven't found the right people. Just keep going and meeting new people and you'll find them. And if you can't find any, then join my Discord brotherhood. When I got to a certain age, I started to realize a terrible truth about having fakes. Having at least 7 fake friends come and go over the last 4 years and seeing the long-term effects they had on me, both good and bad, there's 3 truths and steps I want to share with you. My whole teenagehood has been made and broken by these realizations, so hopefully these will offer you a new plan of action with your friends before it's too late. The worst period of my life was when I had fake friends. I felt like shit most of the time because after a day in school where they were forced to talk to me, I felt lonely and I had no one to turn to. At first, when I got these friends, we had fun and stuff, but when I wasn't new anymore, it wasn't so interesting talking to me. Suddenly the people I called friends didn't talk to me. They would hang out after school without me, and they would literally sit and talk about the fun things they were going to do without me, even though I was sat right beside them. Every day I was feeling depressed and lonely. Having fake friends made my life feel like no one cared. I made so many mistakes in how I handled these situations, and I wish you don't have to go through the same stuff as me. So with this video, I want to try and save you from the misery I felt 2 years ago. Step 1, the truth. Let me be honest. There are 3 main reasons why fake friends will ruin your life and your mental health. Reason 1, you can't trust them. Because these people actually don't give a fuck about you. They don't see you as an important person and they will abandon you at any given time. So trusting them is the dumbest thing ever and you'll just end up becoming betrayed. Reason number 2, it won't be long until they're gone. As I said before, these people don't care about you, and so when you aren't new and fun anymore, they will slowly stop talking to you. I've tried it before. Suddenly I didn't get the hangout invites, they didn't approach me, and they acted like I wasn't even there, and then they're gone. And all I can see is the fun they're having together, while I was sitting there alone. Reason number 3, if you ever have problems, whether that be mentally or whatever, they won't help you. The moment you're not happy and funny person, they're gone. I remember this very clearly. When we were in lockdown during COVID-19, I struggled. Both in some subjects in school, but also because those people I called friends, they were gone. Now that we weren't forced to see each other every day in school, they didn't reach out to me, and the few times I texted them, they answered shortly, and nobody was there to help me. Step 2, are you the victim? So you might be thinking, do I have fake friends? If you're honest to yourself, you probably already know. If you thought about it deep down, you know that you have fake friends. If you don't want to admit it to yourself, then ask yourself these 3 questions. Question 1. Are my friends only around me in good times? If you have friends who are only there when you are happy and ready to have fun, they're not in it for the long run and they don't care about you. That's the first sign. Question number 2. Do my friends ever leave me out or make me feel left out? If you have friends that often leave you out and do stuff together without you, they don't give a fuck about you, which is the second sign. Question number 3. Are you the person that always needs to take initiative or start the conversation? If your friends don't ever text you first or arrange to hang out, it's because they can't really be asked talking to you. They would rather not talk to you, so they hope you can get it by not talking too much to you, which is the last sign. If you can see any of these in your friends, they don't care about you, and they're most definitely fake. But what do I do now, you might ask? That's the next step. Step 3, free yourself. This step is the hardest, because if you want to free yourself, you need to leave those friends. But maybe those friends that are fake are the only ones you have. So to free yourself, you have to leave your only friends. I learned this the hard way, because I didn't leave them, and so they left me first, which just hurt me even more. There is one thing I wish I would have told my younger self, which is, fuck them. Think about how much pain you've went through by staying with them. The pain of leaving and maybe being alone is way less than the pain of staying with them and they're gonna leave eventually. Trust me when I say that being alone is better than being with people who don't want the best for you. What I did afterwards when I was alone was, I tried finding new friends who were genuine. Maybe you can't seem to find any, and if so, you enjoy my Discord brotherhood, which I'll link in the description, and in there you'll also find brothers who are into improving themselves and creating a better life. You'll get advice from me and others, be held accountable, and get new friends, so it's a win-win. It's exactly what I would have needed 2 years ago. Now keep trying to find friends in real life because you can obviously not do too many activities with the ones you have online. So let's summarize. Here are the 3 steps to describe fake friends, to find out if you have them, and how to set yourself free. Step 1. The truth. Understand that these people don't care about you, and they won't stand by your side for long. They'll ruin your mental health and make you feel worthless. Step 2. Are you the victim? To find out if you have fake friends, you probably just need to be honest with yourself. But if you can't do that, then ask yourself these 3 questions to find out. Are my friends only around me during good times? Do my friends ever leave me out? Are my friends never the person to text first or start the conversation? Step 3. Free yourself. Leave those friends behind before they leave you. Try to find new friends in real life and join my Discord brotherhood to find brothers who are even into self-improvement as well. If you do all these, trust me, your mental health will improve so much and you will live a better life with better people around.
And in this part of the guide, I will cover the wrong mindset that I had at the start of my unfucking your life journey, of my self-improvement journey, in which way you can take that and then instead do the exact opposite of me. I am only a 17-year-old kid, and so I probably don't have that much to say, and I'm just trying to figure out my life. And whatever I say, I shouldn't say it with so much conviction because, you know, maybe in a couple years I'll change my mind. But there is this one thing that I'm sure that I won't change my mind on. And that is what the video is titled. Self-improvement is not this Sigma bullshit. You're not that guy, and you shouldn't try to be that guy, because when I started this shit, when I started trying to improve myself, it was because of hatred. It was because I resented my peers. I hate that they were getting, status, friends, people, where they're laughing at the jokes, they want to be social with them. I hated that, and because I was not getting that. I was a lonely motherfucker. I sat here in my bed, right here, next to, me filming here, sat here, cried my eyes out very often, scrolled on my phone, looking at my friends' posts, seeing them have fun. And I was here, at home, doing nothing. And so why did I start improving myself? I clearly remember it. I didn't know what self-improvement was, but I had heard about the movie called American Psycho, and this is basically, if you don't know the movie, it's a movie about a guy called Patrick Bateman who has no emotion. He's a psychopath, and so he loves killing people. And there goes this meme around that he's like the Sigma, and he does like these weird kinds of faces. I'm not gonna do them because but yeah, I was fascinated by this guy because he was kind of taking revenge for what others had as well. I mean, like, it was different. I have emotion, obviously, but what he was taking revenge for and why he was resenting others was because they had empathy, but he did not. He didn't feel anything towards other humans, and so he killed them. He talked badly about him. He wished to kill them. All this stuff. And of course, I'm not that extreme. I'm not gonna go out killing people, but that was what it all started. I clearly remember I recorded some videos on my phone to kind of just for myself. I was not going to post them or anything, just small short videos documenting how my day went. And my plan was to be more silent, to be more act like a Sigma male, like an alpha male, act like more reserved, not really wanting to talk to people, be a bit more mean instead of happy and all the time. And I tried to meditate a little. I didn't really know the concepts of self-improvement at this point, so I was kind of doing it because I resented my classmates. I wanted to feel like I was better than them because they had something that I didn't have. And then when I actually got into self-improvement and I realized, oh shit, this is what improving is. My friend, he showed me. I understood the concept of, oh, you gotta meditate because then your mental health gets better. Oh, you're gonna go to the forest because then it's nice, and all the stuff that I heard from Hamza and all these other people. I understood it, but in the back of my mind, I was still that guy who resented my classmates, my peers. I was still doing it because I thought, oh, I'm gonna prove the haters wrong. Oh yeah, I'm gonna become better than them. Oh, I'm gonna be the guy at the school reunion pulling up in a Lamborghini. That was my thoughts. That's not what this is about. If you're doing self-improvement for this reason, I will, with all of my heart, I will say, I genuinely believe you shouldn't be doing it. I believe you're doing this for the wrong reason. And I'm just going to be honest, I was for a long time. I was doing this for the wrong reason for such a long time. Because I thought I needed to prove someone wrong. I only now realised that I only needed to prove myself wrong. The reason why I was so angry at these people was not because they had done anything to me. They hadn't done anything. Of course, they left me alone and they didn't really talk to me, but they hadn't done all the stuff that I was thinking in my head. They just had what I didn't. And I was jealous. I was so jealous that they got the attention from others. They had friends. They could go do social things all the time. And they had many friends. I was jealous of that. And so I tried to look myself in and make myself believe that, oh yeah, I'm going to be better than them by doing this. Instead of just actually solving the problem. Because I was running from it. I was running from the problem. The problem was that I was not that social. I wasn't a person that was interesting. And I could have just, solved that with learning how to speak to others, living a more interesting life instead of just scrolling all day. But the thing is, I went out and did all of this. Oh yeah, I'm going to prove the haters wrong. I'm going to pull up in a Lamborghini. That was not it. That's not how it works. Self-improvement is not this sigma male alpha shit. It's wholesome. It's peaceful. It's trying to live a more simple life, a more essential one. Where you don't do everything. You choose out some things that you actually care about and you just do them. It's a way more peaceful life. This is everything that you do in self-improvement is made to be wholesome. You wake up early because you know that you're ahead. You sit there doing your work with a smile on your face, knowing that you're not doing this to prove the haters wrong. You're doing it so that you have more time in the day to do other things. You meditate not because you think you're going to be better than others. You meditate because you know that you have trouble with overthinking and being anxious. And so you clear your head and make sure that you don't overthink as much. You gratitude journal because you want to be more happy, and you know that by being more grateful for smaller things, you will automatically become more happy and less depressed. You get in touch with nature and talk to more people because you know that those things will be a more natural sort of dopamine instead of scrolling, and you will get actually happy. You do the work because it fulfills you, and you feel like you're actually making a change for others in this world. That's why you do it. This is all wholesome, and you can see my emotion has changed. I'm almost saying this with a smile on my face because when I think about it, it just brings joy to me when I realize why I'm doing this. And so if you're not doing it for any of these reasons, if you're doing it because you think you have to prove someone wrong, the only person that you need to prove wrong is yourself. Because this is not what it's about. It's not about, being angry at other people, thinking that you're going to be better than them. Because the day we die, there's still just flesh and bones in the ground when we get buried. We're all the same. And no one is loved more. God loves everyone just as much. But that doesn't mean that there is no point in doing these activities. We do them to feel good. And that might not be the case for your friend. He might not need to do all these things to feel good. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to do them. And it doesn't mean that you need to think that you're better than him because you do this. You should know the reason why you do this. There's a reason it's called self-improvement. Of course we do it for others because we want to be more nice to them, be more, better at talking to them, be nicer friends, be more presentable when we're with them. We maybe want to make some money so we can provide for our future family. We do this for others. But there is a reason why it's called self-improvement. It's because we feel like we are improving by doing these things. So if you don't feel like this adds anything to your life, and you're only doing it because you resent others, and you feel literally like nothing has changed in your life, this is not for you. I will say this and I'll stick to my word, and I don't think I will change my opinion on this. It's not for you. Why are you doing something that doesn't benefit you just because some alpha male YouTuber on the internet tells you that, oh yeah, you're gonna be better than someone else? You're not gonna be better than anyone else. Nobody is better than each other. We're all equal. But if you do this, at least do it for yourself and do it for the people around you. Don't do it because you want to prove the people around you wrong. Don't do it because you resent the people around you. They have done nothing to you. You're only angry at them because they have something that you don't. So why don't you go and get that? I usually have a script for my videos, but for this one I didn't. This came purely from my heart. I usually have small points that I look down at and then I talk. This, I just spoke everything. Everything just came from my heart because I'd been thinking about this for so long, and I had still like these thoughts lurking sometimes, and especially back then I can't believe that I thought that was it, that I was going to get a better life by being angry at someone else. Don't you see that's how villains get made? They're mad at somebody because of something they did. Just forgive them if they did something. Move on. We do this for ourselves, and it's almost this is almost emotional because I ruined my life even more with self-improvement at the start. As I said, when I made those short videos, I was obsessed over the alpha sigma male stuff. It's so, not only is it cringe, but it just made my life worse, because I lived every day thinking that from now on I should be the guy who was mean looking, not smiling, and I wasn't feeling better. I was feeling worse because I was just angry all the time. And if you're experiencing anything like this, I just want to say that it's going to just ruin your life. It's going to make it even worse. So understand that if you want to do this, it should be because you know that you're struggling with some things and you want to improve them because you think that you'll get a better life. And then once you find out if you get a better life by doing these things, then I definitely think you should keep doing them. But that doesn't mean that is the same for someone you know. We're all the same. You're not going to get better than anyone. I am not better than anyone. Sure, I might be more productive. Sure, I might be more present. But we're still equal. They're not completely like a subhuman. That does not exist. We're all equal. And I know I have said it many times in this video that we're all equal. I keep repeating myself over and over probably. But it's just so important. It's the one thing that I've learned. This is the thing that I've said in this video. It's the one thing that's bothered me the most, made my life the most worst, that I've resented others because they had something I didn't, instead of just trying to go and have that myself. And I can't be mad at myself. I just have to forgive myself, but I just don't want that to happen to you. Or at least if it is happening, I just want you to be able to change it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Have you ever been betrayed or left behind by classmates or friends, and now you feel like you need to go and get successful to flex on them and get revenge? Are you the guy who wants to pull up to the school reunion in a Lambo to show how much better you are? I was like that too. In this video, I'll explain the reason why trying to get revenge is stupid and why you should have another reason for working hard. There will be some dark revelations in this video, but I think you'll completely understand them. And when you realize the same stuff as me, I think you'll kick yourself. It's a simple 2-step method, and by the end of this video, you will know the method I use to live a purposeful and happy life every day. So the reason why I started self-improvement was because I wanted revenge. At the time, I was in a friend group of about 6 people, And when we started talking, I loved it, for I've never felt 6 friends all in a group with me, so I was so excited. But then it started to happen. The people that I called friends started to hang out after school without me. The next day when I came to school and heard them talking about what they had been doing, I didn't really think too much of it at first, until it kept happening again and again. And now, when we started going to parties, I wasn't invited. I remember multiple times where they would sit and talk about the party right in front of me, even though I wasn't invited. I was very sad and felt quite depressed. It felt like my best friends betrayed me and they didn't even care. Slowly, hate started to build up and I victimized myself. With all this hate, I wanted revenge. I wanted to show them that I was worthy of friends too, that I was good enough and that I could achieve big things. And that's when I started self-improvement. Trying to better myself and also making money seemed like a good idea, because then when I was successful I could flex and show them that I was good enough as well. Now when I say it like that, it doesn't seem like a good idea, and it really isn't. Because at the start of my journey, I also felt like shit because I was always in the mindset of revenge and hate. And think about it, I wasn't even doing this for myself, I was doing it to show them. Which brings me to step 1. Step 1, the big question. This is probably the most important question you can ask yourself in this situation. It's the question that brought me to tears because it made me realize I had been doing it all for the wrong cause. The question is why? Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Because if you're doing it like I was to show off to other people that you were good enough as well, that's not a good why. Because then when you get the success and the ability to show off, you realize that they don't care and it doesn't matter. Those friends or classmates betrayed you, haven't even thought of you. They didn't even think about leaving you behind. It's only you who has been stuck and is still emotional about what they did. So if your why isn't, I'm doing this for myself, then it's not worth it. I mean, of course, if you're doing it for family or your future family, that's alright because you care for those people. But if it's not for yourself or the people you care about, you're going to live a life for someone else. And if you get the success, it's only to show a person that doesn't care about you that you're worthy of love. Step 2, pain as a driver. Now that I've realized that revenge and hate isn't the way, I'm actually grateful for what my old friends did to me. They gave me my last push where I felt so bad I found a way to change. And I'm so grateful I found self-improvement because it's changed my life forever. And possibly if my friends hadn't done that to me, maybe I would have never started self-improvement. So everyone that's hurt you, you should always be grateful because they have given you a little push towards dissatisfaction, and dissatisfaction is the reason you started changing. So in theory, if I was never left behind, I probably wouldn't have found self-improvement. So don't be mad at them for giving you pain, but be grateful. So let's summarize. If you're in the situation I was in a year ago where you feel hate towards some people and you want to get revenge, here are the 2 things you need to think about. Step 1, why am I doing this? Because you're doing it for people who are not your family or you, then it's not worth it. Step 2, be grateful for pain. Realize that when you got hurt, it pushed you into deeper dissatisfaction. And dissatisfaction is what makes you want to change. So without the pain they gave you, you might have never started self-improvement. This will probably be quite a dark realization for you, but if you genuinely sit down and think about this, it will make sense and it will make your life so much more simple and genuine.
You've almost reached the end of this guide, but here is a bit of motivation for you so you actually use this and get to work.
2 years ago, I would always wake up as late as I could before school. I would only have time to just get dressed, brush my teeth and have a small breakfast because I didn't want to, get up early. And when I came home from school, I procrastinated all the afternoon away because I didn't want to do the homework, and I ended up doing it right before bed. Just because my homework was hard and I didn't really, I don't really want to do that. I can just watch one more video. And then I ended up just procrastinating the whole afternoon. If you don't already know me, my name's Lawrence and I hope young men fast track their self-improvement success. You're clearly interested in that, so just go down and click the subscribe button. This morning I just woke up at 5 a.m. When I woke up I could barely open my eyes and fighting to turn on the light and laying there almost falling asleep again. I kicked myself out of the bed, even though I knew the work that was ahead of me. 3 hours of work. I still did it because, it's hard, but this is what discipline is all about. Get to work. Oh, but I'm tired. Nobody cares. Do it if you're sad, do it if you're tired, do it if you're happy, do it if you're stressed, do it if you're angry. Nobody cares. Just get to work, because nobody will do it for you. Your dad, your mom, they can't come do this work for you. Nobody can help you. It's only you that can do that work. It's only you who can wake up at 5 a.m. with a fire inside of your mind, knowing that you're going to work for the next 3 hours, and right now you can't even open your eyes. But you're going to do it anyway, even though it's painful, even though you're tired, even though you haven't slept that well, even though you have only slept for 6 hours, even though you feel like shit. You're doing it anyway because you know the benefits of it. You know that's what's going to change your life. You know that if you don't make your future self proud, if you don't sacrifice comfort for him, then he won't live as good of a life. He will live a worse life. He will live a more shitty life than you live today. You choose whether it's done or not. If you don't do it, then it won't get done. Nobody could come in and do it for you. You choose if it's done or not. Think about your future self. What would he think about your choice? Is he happy that you're sleeping in, missing workouts, eating junk food, scrolling on YouTube instead of actually doing the purposeful work and helping out other people on the internet? Because my future self wouldn't be happy if I did that. So think about it next time you make a decision. Are you benefiting your future self because you know that you don't want to make his life harder? Because if you don't do the hard actions today, he will live a more shitty life than you do now. But you want him to live a better life. You want to make tomorrow better. So you have to do the hard work today. So it doesn't matter if you're tired, sad, angry, stressed, whatever. The work is still there to be done. The work still needs to be done, no matter how you feel. So do it anyway. And if you know that your future self is not happy with the choices that you make of sleeping in, missing workouts and wasting time, then why do you keep procrastinating? Why isn't that enough drive for you to get to work? Because you need to. You need to get to work no matter how you feel. Because there's nobody coming to save you. I can't save you. I can't, even though I can sit here and talk for days, minutes, hours. It won't make you work. I can't save you. I can't climb through the screen and do the work for you, do the workout for you, meditate for you. You have to do it yourself. So nobody can save you. I can't save you. Nobody on the internet, nobody in real life, not your mom, not your dad, nobody can help you. You have to help yourself. Because me sitting here and talking and you not taking action, then this video is pointless. Because I make this for you to improve. But I can't save you. You have to do the work yourself. I can sit here and talk as much as I want about discipline. But if you're not going to do the work, nothing's going to change. Then you're just going to click onto another video.
Alright, so if you've watched all the way to the end, all the way to here, you're absolutely a G. You're now equipped with all of the lessons and practical advice and everything I've learned over the past 3 years. Think about it. This took me 3 years to learn. And you've just learnt it in, what, a little, 2 hours, maybe a little bit more. This is absolutely insane. And this is what will set you apart from others. But only if you actually take action. Because as I said in the last module, do it tired, nobody cares. I can't do this work for you. If you watch this whole course and you don't do anything with the information and you don't even take action, you're just sitting there, oh yeah, that was a nice video, and you click on to the next one. Why the fuck did you even watch this video? It was a waste of time anyway. The reason why I made this course or guide is not for you to just sit around and watch it and be like, oh yeah, this is a pretty good video, right? The reason why I made this video is because I genuinely want to help you. I've compiled all of my brain power, every fucking thing I know that I've learned these past 3 years. I've made trackers and templates for you that you can download for free. And you're not even going to take action. That's just sad, man. But if you want my personal advice and personal help with actually unfucking your life, becoming more disciplined and not feeling like shit and being lazy all the time, send me a DM on Instagram. It's the link in the description. This was a really long video, but as I always say, alright, that's it. Put one foot in front of the other.